Hey guys, Matt here with Juice Joyrides, and today we are going to talk about the Fastace suspension upgrade for the Sur Ron. So in this video, we're going to do some street riding, and then we're going to take it out to the Santa Monica Mountains and do some trail riding. In this video, I'm going to show you some of the pros of the Fastace fork, but make sure you stay till the end because I'm also going to show you some of the downsides of this fork as well. So if you're looking for a suspension upgrade for the Sur Ron, you've probably heard about the Fox 40s. Obviously, those are super expensive. So if you're looking for a suspension upgrade for like under $1,000, this might be a good option. This suspension upgrade costs about $700 and it is an upgrade, let me tell you. I've been riding around on this suspension for a few days now and I want to just kind of tell you my thoughts and experience with it. So really the very first thing I noticed with this Fastace suspension is how much farther you can turn the wheel. Apparently the triple crown mounts the forks just a little bit further forward, and also the bump stops are slightly smaller on these forks. So overall, like, you can turn the wheel noticeably further in either direction. Comparing these two forks side by side now, I can notice right away this one's heavier. I'll throw it on a scale here in just a minute, but look at the triple clamps. You can see the diameter of the Fastace is definitely more than the KKE stock. Now, it wasn't necessarily a problem before, like how far I could turn the wheel, but it's definitely handy for like when making some tight turns. Also for like street riding, I'm noticing like the bike just seems to handle like a little bit better. It has like a more like sharp steering response almost. And then like another big observation is when I'm popping wheelies, when the front end comes down, it just feels like the whole thing like plants and lands like so much like softer. The suspension, I mean, it just does like a better job absorbing that impact compared to my KKE stock suspension. In terms of like riding stairs and stuff, I mean, going up the stairs, it's mostly the rear suspension taking the beating, but going down, the front suspension just handles the stairs better. When I'm like hopping off curbs and stuff, I can definitely notice a difference. Like coming down these stairs, yeah, it's just like way more plush. Like it just feels like the suspension is doing its job like much better. And actually, as I'm recording this here in Muscle Beach area, I'm noticing the tight steering is super beneficial for being able to navigate this platform up here. I can actually make the turn. Usually I have. So to talk about the weight, the increased weight of this new suspension, you know, it takes it from like stock, the KKE forks are like weighing the stock fork, the KKE fork, 8 pounds and 3 ounces. Now the maximum weight of this scale is supposed to be 10 pounds. Yeah, it's giving an error. I'm trying to weigh this thing, but I can't even do it because it's over the weight limit of this scale. It's showing up as 11 pounds on my big scale. Grabbing the stock fork again and throwing it on the same scale, shows up as 8.2 pounds. Now it takes it from like stock, the KKE forks are like 8 pounds, and the upgraded Fastace is like 11 pounds. Honestly, I cannot notice a difference with the increased weight on the front wheel. This bike does keep getting a little bit heavier all the time. You know, I just threw that upgraded battery on there, made it heavier. Now I got the upgraded suspension on the front, adds 3 more pounds. You know, popping wheelies, I cannot tell a difference, you know, with the front weight, but I do think the front weight probably adds to the plantedness feeling of the front end of the bike. And definitely just like hitting bumps or little like jumps like this feels a lot nicer coming down, landing. So let's cruise on down the bike path here and head on down to the Santa Monica Mountains and see how it does in the trails. Thing is a rocket. As far as just like everyday street riding, I can definitely notice an improvement, like going over like all the little cracks and bumps in the road. It feels like it just like mellows it out a little bit more and makes it like a more plush ride. Obviously, that's not the only job of the suspension. It's to keep that front tire planted on the ground, so you have so the tire remains in contact with the ground while you're riding. And you know, that's easy to do when you're riding on the street, but once you get out on the trails and there's like tons of little imperfections all over the road, that's where the suspension really comes in handy, and that's where you really need it to keep that front end planted and you feeling confidence and the front wheel turning when you need to turn. Now I know $700 is not exactly a cheap suspension upgrade for the Sur Ron, but I do have a discount code below this video in the description box to save 5% off your order. And if you did buy through that link, it would help support Juice Joy Rides at no additional cost to you, actually helping you save money as well. So to touch on the installation process, it was kind of a pain in the butt for me. It took me several hours to do. Now my mechanic skills are like not that great at all. I do have some tools laying around. My other big concern here was the length of this part. So I was wondering if it'd be sticking up too high. Just a tick over 8.5 for the stock one. And actually on the Fastace, taking the same measurement, just a tick over 8.5 as well. So I don't think that there's gonna be any cutting necessary to actually put this new fork on, which is good news. But I was able to get the job done with the help of a bike shop. I had to go to the bike shop to have them remove the crown race. I'm gonna try and jam a screwdriver in there and see if I can get this thing off without going to the bike shop. I don't know if I should be doing this. So I would definitely not recommend doing what I just did. I chipped off a little piece of the black seal thing here. All right, just got back from the bike shop here. They put on the race crown for me. They were all like cool about like, yeah, we'll do it. Then they're like, oh, by the way, it's $60. They were nice enough to give me a little bit of grease on the way out the door. They did give me a new star nut and put it in there for me though. And then I also had to have them drop in a new star nut. Now I have seen another dude, he said that their bike shop just did it for free. My bike shop, I don't know, maybe it's California where I live, but they charged me $60. He did it in like 15 minutes, but they still charged me 60 bucks. So that's kind of a bummer. So let's experience the Fastace front suspension starting now. Does have like 3 pounds extra on front, which should in theory help keep the front end down a little more. Woo. Oh yeah, these bumps feel way better than yesterday. Those are some like really harsh like storm drain kind of things. Yeah, front end just kind of feels more like planted and stable somehow. Thing is a rocket. In general, I just have to say front end feels more planted, and the suspension is in fact an upgrade over what I was on yesterday out here. The stock KKE is what I was on yesterday. Woo! Fallen tree branches. I mean, what do we even need front suspension for if we just keep the front wheel off the ground the whole time when we're riding? Another great thing about this suspension is there's no stiction with the front fork at all. The old one was starting to get some stiction. You know, that was probably mostly due to my lack of maintenance, but it's super smooth now. Loving it. What's that motor temp at? 78? Oh, whoa. Keep your eyes on the road, bro. So let's wrap this video up with the pros and cons of the Fastace Fork upgrade. Starting with the pros, basically the Sur Ron feels better in every way. Everything from hopping curbs to popping wheelies and dropping the front end down. riding the bike downstairs, doing jumps around the city and in the trails. The bike feels better in trail riding and street riding, and the front end just feels more planted and the bike is just better. Now, considering the downsides of this Fastace fork, there is actually a reduced tire clearance on this new fork. The tubes, these are a lot wider on this upgraded suspension. So these are like not as wide on this bike. I have the Shinko 244 tires on this, and here's what my tire clearance looks like now. Pretty much I can like fit about a finger in between the fork and the tire. So looking at the spacing is very, very, very tight. There's about... My upgraded Shinko 244 tires just barely clear the front fork tubes. So if you do have an extra wide tire and you already have like a narrow clearance on your current fork, this Fastace fork might not be able to accommodate all tire sizes that are compatible with the stock fork. Another downside is this fork does add about 3 pounds to the bike. However, as I mentioned, popping wheelies and riding around, I really could not feel the weight. And it actually might be a good thing having a little more weight on the front wheel of this bike, especially with my upgraded controller and battery. It's hard enough keeping that front end down as is, so now maybe more weight is actually making it more stable. And another downside is my old suspension, it was easier to adjust because it had adjustments up on the top of the tubes. This new suspension does not have that option. So if I want to adjust it, I need to have like a screwdriver or some sort of penny to wedge in there and adjust it. And for me, the last downside was installing it. It took me several hours and I had to stop by a bike shop for a little bit of help. But overall, I'm super happy with the Fastace fork upgrade. And as I mentioned before, I do have a link below this video with a discount code to help you save 5% off your order if you're interested in purchasing a pretty darn good fork for under $1,000. And of course, if you did use that discount code below, it would help support Juice Joyrides at no additional cost to you, and I would greatly appreciate your support. And a big thanks to Fastace for sending me this fork to review. They also sent over some brakes, which I've been working on a review for those as well. So if you're looking for a cheaper brake upgrade, I have a review on those coming soon. So what do you guys think? Is this fork upgrade worth it, or should you just go all out and spend a lot more money on a much higher quality suspension? Let me know your thoughts below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.